Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, March 31st, 2023, the very last day of March. Time is flying, and welcome to Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live with Damon, the agent. I thank you all for joining me each and every Friday at 12 noon, where I give the latest real estate topics. And I also normally like to talk about whatever, life topic is going on or something that's on my mind. But today I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So that means questions and answers, because there have been a few times when I've been on live, and as I'm getting off, people would tend to send questions. So I want people to get their questions together and then to, get them together, send them to me, ask them to me so I can answer them live while we're on today. So today, the topic of real estate is time is of the essence. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to break that down from a buyer's perspective and also from a seller's perspective, because in real estate, it is about everything that is written in the contract, but it's also in a timely manner. So, time is of the essence. From the moment a buyer decides to start looking for a home, everything becomes crucial. And what that means is basically sometimes buyers will look on the internet, they would get homes sent to them from their agents, and then they'll see houses that they actually like. They save those houses, and then in some cases, the houses were go under contract or they would eventually sell, because sometimes buyers feel as though they have time. Once a person gets approved for a home loan, the home loan approval is normally good for 60 days. So once you get approved for a home loan, please keep in mind that that home approval loan is good for 60 days, or else you're going to have to provide the lenders with updated documents. And in some cases, they like to pull your credit again because they want to make sure that you are still able to purchase a home. That's the first step, with time being of the essence. The second is when you begin to look at houses. Once you start to look at houses, and if you start to see a lot of the better houses that are in good condition, please understand and keep in mind those houses will not stay around for weeks or even months. It really depends on which market we're in, and it also depends on what area you're in. But here's the thing: if a house catches your eye and your attention and you really want to buy that home, just think about it. Another buyer is caught their eyes as well. So a lot of times people tend to look at a home, feel like, oh, this is the home that I think that I can make a home. This is the house that I think that I can make a home. But then they say, oh, I want to keep looking. I want to wait. And understand, buyers, that the house you see today and you decide to wait next week will be gone tomorrow. And I've seen that in many cases, and even in a situation as recent on one of my listings recently, I had an agent who worked at my office who reached out to me, and he showed the property. He also told me that his buyer was still looking at houses. The same day he said that, an offer came through on that particular property. And when it came through, the next day, I let him know we got an offer. He was like, oh, she was thinking about writing on it. But here's the thing: we went to settlement on that home, and a month later, they're still looking for homes. And he's explained to me that his particular buyer, I'm saying, she hesitates a lot of time. Now, you can't hesitate because, like I mentioned before, once you get approved for a home loan, you basically have 60 days to find something. And then once you find something that's decent, in good shape, or livable, or even renovated, you have to understand that you have to make a decision. Roughly, a lot of times you really need to make a decision then, because when you snooze, you lose. That's an old saying that a lot of people used to say: when you snooze, you lose. Meaning, when you hesitate, it's not going to be there. It's too late. So please keep that in mind. Now, when a buyer does go out there and they make an offer on a property, and once their offer is accepted, what buyers need to understand is time is of the essence. From the moment you place that date on the contract, there is a settlement date that is also placed on the contract. Depending on your lender, in most cases, it's roughly around 30 days. You have some lenders that can do 21 days, depending on how soon you need to move. And then in some cases, if you use a major bank such as Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they normally typically take anywhere from 45 to 60 days. Now, please keep in mind that with your lender and with your realtor, you always discuss the settlement date that's going to be placed on a contract. But also understand this, that time is of the essence the moment that both buyer and seller have signed off on the contract to agree to the terms of the contract. For example, today is March 31st. If an offer is made today, and let's say you put 30 days, which will be April the 30th in the contract, okay? So once that go, that's like you're taking off now. And when you're taking off, there are things that become of importance and that have a timeline involved once the offer has been accepted. Once you stamp that date of settlement, 30 days, 45 days, or whatever, then you have to move swiftly. The very first thing after that is normally buyers have already been approved, and in many cases, they have submitted all documentations to their lenders. But if they have not, that's going to be the very first thing that's done once the lender gets a copy of that contract. The next thing that's really going to be done is doing your home inspection. This is very critical. The reason why the home inspection is very critical is because if any issues pop up or occur during the home inspection that cannot be agreed upon between buyers and sellers to be addressed, then there's an outing for the buyer. That's why in many contracts, there's a home inspection contingency that is placed in the contract. That is to protect the buyers always. I've always advised all of my clients forever to always get a home inspection, because when you get a house, you have to understand that you are inheriting that house. You want to know what's going on with that house. You want to know if there are any underlying conditions, any underlying issues, if there's anything wrong that you cannot see with the naked eye. Like, for example, there could be a shortage in a circuit. There can be an issue with the plumbing. There can be something going on with the foundation. There can be something going on with the roofing. So that's part of the reason why you get the home inspection, so that you can have a peace of mind once you get the house that you are inheriting. But on the contract, understand that normally there's a timeline put in that space for home inspection contingency. It ranges. It can be anywhere from 3 days to 10 days to 14 days. But in most cases, most listing agents don't want you to extend it out too far, because of the fact that if there are issues that are going to occur, they want to try to address it or resolve it between the buyer and seller as soon as possible. So typically 5 to 7 days is the norm. So let's say once you get the contract ratified, we made the offer March 31st. The settlement date is April the 30th. So you put April 7th as far as getting a home inspection contingency. So now you have to schedule your home inspection, which normally you want to schedule as soon as possible, whether it's the upcoming weekend or within the next couple of days. Because remember, you have a 7-day timeline with that home inspection contingency, because time is of the essence. So let's say once you do your home inspection, and there's some issues that pop up, now your agent has to submit over to the listing agent on your behalf as the buyer the issues that you want to address. Now, if they're minor issues, this really depends on the issues. Sometimes buyer will not even send anything over, but in some cases, some buyers do want everything fixed. So you have to type up an addendum, send everything over, along with the home inspection report, just to make sure that everything that the buyer is asking for has been brought up by the home inspector. So with this, you're waiting on a response for the seller. Now, there have been many cases where sellers will address the issues, but there have been some cases where sellers won't address the issue. They will say, well, listen, I'm not fixing anything. I gave you a reduction on the offer when you made it, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving you all this closing cost help. So those issues I feel like the buyer can address. Now, some cases buyer will agree to those terms. In some cases, buyer won't. This is part of the reason why you have that home inspection contingency and that timeline to address these issues, whether you're going to agree to the terms or not, or whether the seller is going to agree to the terms or not. Once that has been determined, let's say hypothetically the buyer goes on and they agree to the terms of whatever the seller comes back with, or vice versa, the seller agrees to the terms of whatever the buyer, then you move forward, and then the appraisal is ordered. Now, in the contract, there's an appraisal contingency, which is normally longer than the inspection contingency. Now, the reason why you get your home inspection before your appraisal is because of the fact is you have to come out of pocket and pay for your home inspection. You have to come out of pocket and pay for your appraisal. You're not going to get that money back. Okay. So you don't want to pay for an appraisal without first addressing any issues that may occur with the home inspection. So again, why time is of the essence. So again, why time is of the essence. So once the appraisal has been ordered, and let's say we put 7 days for the home inspection contingency, let's say you put 21 days for the appraisal contingency. And the reason why the time is longer with that is because the appraisals have to be scheduled in order through your lender. And a lot of times it depends on the appraisal schedule. They don't just pop up as quickly and can do it as quickly as a home inspector can do in a home inspection because they have a lot of properties they have to appraise. So the appraisal may not get out there till another week, a week and a half, or even 2 weeks. But once the appraisal come back, if there are no underlying issues, then you continue to move forward. But here's the thing. What if there are some issues? Because even though houses may look okay, sometimes there are issues that pop up. For example, like the property that I just mentioned to you that I had as a listing, the appraisal was done on that. It was through a FHA appraisal. And when the appraisal was done, the appraisal actually called me and said that there were issues that needed to be addressed. Now, one of the issues that needed to be addressed was the deck. The deck needed to be addressed because with FHAs have different guidelines. The seller went on to address those issues, but what if the seller decided that they did not want to address those issues? Because you have some sellers who don't want to address those issues because, again, in this particular case, the deck was the issue. Also, when a contract was initially written, the buyer's agent had asked for a credit for the deck. But then the issue came up with the appraiser that the deck needed to be addressed. Now, sometimes this can cause issues between sellers and buyers because some sellers don't want to address certain issues, even if it comes about the appraiser, and especially if they're giving credit to the buyer. You have to put these contingencies in the contract, and time is always of the essence because of the fact there are so many things that once you find a home that have to be dealt with before you are standing with your keys at the end and that you go to settlement. Again, once you go through the approval process. Now, I mentioned that you got to fill out and do all these things with the lender, but there's a financial part a lot of times in a contract, making sure that you are financially secured with getting a loan. And a lot of times that's within the first couple of days once the contract has been accepted. So once you get financially secure with your loan, and then you do your home inspection, and then you get the appraisal done, now you have to make sure that everything clears underwriting. Underwriting are the people who work with your lender to make sure that you are securing this loan and that you fully qualify for it. So if there are any issues that come back from underwriting, in which sometimes there are issues that come back, sometimes, for example, if you got like a lump sum of money put into your bank account, underwriter want to know where did this money come from. Let's say if it's a guy and he got $10,000 from his wife or his girlfriend and he put in his bank account, or vice versa. Say it's a woman who got $10,000 from her boyfriend and she put it in her bank account. They want to know where the $10,000 came from. And I know people are saying, well, why are they so nosy? But the reason why they're so nosy is because right by around 2008, when there was a lot of when the housing market crashed, there was a lot of mortgage fraud. There was a lot of people who were doing things that were illegal, and the government is monitoring and watching everything. So they have to justify everything. So if they give you a loan and you got $10,000 in your bank account, the government is seeing all this stuff. So they're going to go back to the lenders and say, well, why did you give them a loan when you saw that they do this? So they have to answer these things. So in order to, you know what I'm saying, save their own, behind, they have to explain these things. So they have to get the explanation and everything from you. So in many cases, gifts are given to purchasers in buying the home buying process. It happens all the time. You have parents who may give their kids money. You have spouses who not on the loan may give their spouse money. It happens all the time. You just need to have explanation behind it. But again, time becomes of the essence, because if you go back to when I mentioned about the April 30th date, if you go back to that, you will understand that from the very moment that the contract was accepted, and acceptance means ratified. So once the contract has been ratified, it's like you're going on everything. You have to do all these things within a timely manner in order to ensure that you get the house. Now, once everything has cleared underwriting, there's a thing called clear to close. That means you are cleared to go to closing. And that's when already should have occurred with you scheduling the time of the settlement date. Like you have it on April 30th, but now you have to have the time that you scheduled with the title company, you know. So when that is done, a lot of times you go to schedule your settlement, and then that's when you see people taking pictures and things of that nature. But time is of the essence from the moment you get approved for a home loan. Please keep that in mind because some people tend to take their time. Some people, feel as though they have forever to look at homes. Some people think like, oh, I see this house today, I'm just going to go look at a few more houses. And then when they turn around, that house that they looked at that they really want is gone and they can't understand it. Time waits for no man, and neither does houses. They wait for no man. So if you feel as though a house is for you, you need to understand you need to make an offer on that property right then and there. So now let me talk about the seller side. Now there are plenty of sellers out there who look at their home and they say, well, should I put my house on the market? Because I'm hearing things on the news about it's not a good time to do this, it's not a good time to do that. But here's the thing. You all have to understand that the news is generated to how can I put it in words? The news is generated to get ratings. So they tell the truth in a lot of things, but they also exaggerate the truth in a lot of things. And another thing is though is when it pertains to selling homes, real estate is always local. And I always say that. And the reason why I say that is because what's going on in DC, Maryland, and Virginia is totally different from what's going on in New York. Totally different from what's going on in Florida. Totally different from what's going on in Texas. Totally different from what's going on in California. So a lot of times when you hear these news reports, they're talking about nationally. And even some of the ones who are talking about locally, when you look at locally, they're not specifically talking about where you live at, because you got to understand locally is a general big area. So just like I just mentioned about Maryland, DC, and Virginia, the DC housing market is totally different from the Maryland housing market. The Maryland housing market is totally different from the Virginia housing market. And I say all this to say is your real estate agent is the local expert when it pertains to buying a house. So let me explain to you, since I'm the local expert. In this DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, houses are still selling, regardless of the condition of the home. You have houses that have been completely renovated. You have houses that have been, not renovated. What is the basis for the houses selling or not? Again, how it shows the condition is in and how it's priced. Those are critical because you have people buying houses every day. Every single day, there are houses being bought. But what are going to have people buying? Let's think about this. You're going to buy something if it's priced right. You're going to buy something if it shows to your liking. That's the same thing with houses. So houses are out here being selling. The problem is, I think a lot of times sellers are not following the trend. Some people, houses are overpriced because of the fact they feel as though that, oh, last year my neighbor sold the house for this amount. But last year was a totally different market. Interest rate played the role, inventory played the role. So housing changes every 3 months. And I always stress that the market is different every 3 months. It's like we're about to be April 1st tomorrow. January 1st, the market was different than it is tomorrow. So with that being said, just understand there's always a good time to sell or buy a house, regardless of what's going on in the economy. It's always going to be relevant to pricing and how things show, and always relevant to the options that you have. So the thing is, though, is supply and demand plays a huge role when it pertains to inventory, when it pertains to what market we in. The economy plays a huge role. But even in a bad economy, people are still buying and selling houses. So for those people who say, well, I'm going to wait until the market change, you're going to be waiting. I mean, it's all the right time is always now. because things shift and change all the time. Like for people who are waiting for housing to go down, the longer you wait, here's the thing, houses are still going up. So let's say it's going up, going up, going up, going up. And then when it goes down a little, it may come down, but then it may not be where it is right now. It may not come down to where it is right now. So let me give you an example. Let's say the house is 350 and it goes up to 355, 360, 365, 370, 375, 380, 385, 390. And then it stops. And then it comes down 385, 380, 375, 370, 365. And it stops at 365. But guess what? That 365 is still higher than at the 350 it started at right now. And that's what people don't understand. That's why people are always buying and selling real estate, because with another factor that people don't have, that don't take into consideration, like just like you're waiting and just like you're watching the news, there are plenty of people doing the exact same thing as you. That's why 2 years ago, when the housing market, when it was multiple offers on everything, you know the reason why it was multiple offers on everything? Because everybody do the same thing. It's just like when you're out there driving and you're on the beltway, or if it's a way to go to, let's say, a specific place. A lot of people go the same way. They go around the beltway. They go the same way. So it's congested. And reason why it's congested is because a lot of people only know one way. And a lot of times people only go at the same time that other people go. So sometimes in order to get something that you want, you got to do something totally different. You got to go opposite of what you're hearing. And that's, you know what I'm saying? But also you have to do what you feel is right for you at that particular time, because waiting tomorrow for something may never occur. There are people who've been waiting years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years for certain things. Like I mentioned before, I know a young lady who, when she wanted to buy a house, you know, she was introduced to me, found her a house in a week. She went to settlement in a month. Her co-worker was still looking for a house over a year. And that was because he didn't want to use a realtor. He wanted to do everything himself. So what I'm saying to you is, you have to do what you feel is right for you, but understand time is always of the essence, and the time is always right now. So I'm going to open this up to Q&A, because of the fact is, like I mentioned before when I first started, whenever I get on here, and I'm always about to sign off, I always get questions. So hit me with your questions. All right, I'm going to look to see what questions. Blessings, sir. Someone said, can I refer? Let me post this. Can I refi for the equity of our home and keep the same percentage rate that we have, or go for what's current? That's a good question, Mr. Mason. I appreciate you asking that question. Thank you very much. Now, yes, you can refinance for the equity in your home, but the only way, and I don't know what your percentage rate is right now, but the only way that you can get your same percentage rate, if it is not what it currently is if you're going to have to buy it down. You will actually have to speak with a lender in referencing to buying it down. What happens is, if the interest rate, let me break this down for some people. Let's say you purchased a home and you got the interest rate at 2.5%. I'm gonna use that for example. And your current interest rate, no, let me flip it, because he asked that question. Let's say the current interest rate now is 5%, and you got the interest rate at 2.5%. Oh, he's saying 3.5%. He got it. His is 3.5%. Okay, so let's say the current, Mr. Mason, your interest rate is currently 3.5%, but the current interest rate is, let's say, 5.5%. When you refinance, you're going to get the current interest rate unless you buy it down. But the buy down is normally contingent upon the lenders and you, and as far as your equity is concerned. So you will have to speak with a lender in reference to seeing if you can buy down the interest rate to your current amount. Now, of course, when you buy down, that's going to cost you money, because it's always what the current interest rate is when you refinance. It's always what the current interest rate is. That's why when people refinance, let's say when it was down to 2.25 or 2.5, whatever it was last year, that's why so many people refinance, because they refinance from, let's say they were at 7%, they refinance to the current interest rate. So when you refinance, lenders are going to always try to give you the current interest rate. But if you have equity in your home, depending on how much equity you have, you can buy it down in many cases. But again, I'm a real estate professional, not a lender. So I will always tell you to talk to a local lender in reference to refinancing. But I have plenty of them. If you need me to refer you to one or two, Mr. Mason, I will, because you are a great guy. I sold Mr. Mason a home a couple of years ago, and I'm going to sell him another home very soon. So let me see if there's another question. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, because I'm doing Q&As right now. Hold on, let me see. Check this out. Hold on, I'm doing a Q&A. Thank you, Mr. Mason. I appreciate you. Let me go back to that. I'm looking to see. Someone trying to ask me. Okay, that was another question. That wasn't real estate related. Let me check all my platforms. I like to check all my platforms because I'm on several platforms. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So I have to make sure, because sometimes when I go to different platforms later on, they ask questions. So I want to make sure that I get everyone's question answered. Hold on. Don't want to miss anyone's question. It's Q&A time. If you all have any questions, please feel free to ask, because I don't want to miss anyone. Let me see if I got any questions right on this platform. Also, I want you all to know that I'm having a home buying seminar next Saturday on April the 8th. It's going to be from 1 to 3 p.m. I'm going to go all of the basic steps of the home buying process. Also, there's going to be free food for pizza. We're going to have pizza, chicken, drinks, and also I'm giving a $75 gift card giveaway. So I want people to understand there's going to be, let me see, I put my link for my event. Hold on. Put my, okay, hold on. Where's my link for my event? Next Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. Where's my event at? It's right. Oh, here go the ticket. Okay. I want to put the ticket up so people can get it. Let me go to my StreamYard. Hold on. I'm trying to see, can you click on this? I don't even know if you can click on this. But also, if you go on my Instagram, if you go on my Facebook, you will know, like I said, next Saturday, April the 8th at 1 to 3 p.m., free home buying seminar for anyone who wants to just know the basics process. It's not just for first-time buyers. It's for anyone else who's bought a home in the past. You could come out, go over all the basic steps, the things that I was talking about today when I was talking about the loan process, when I was talking about the home inspection, appraisal. I'm going to break that down again. Also, I'm going to elaborate on a few other things so a person can fully understand, because one of the things that I like to do is make sure that when you're buying a home, that it is as stress-free as possible. It's not as simple as many may think. There is a process, but I don't like for people to be overwhelmed or to be stressed. So I like to break things down, and I like to explain and elaborate clearly so you have a full understanding of the home buying process. Again, next Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. Please register. I like to have a head count so I know everyone that's coming around, that's coming to the free home buying seminar. Somebody just sent me a message. I got to see what that question is. Next Saturday, free home buying seminar, April 8th, 1 to 3 p.m. Please join me. Pass the word, 1 to 3 p.m. Just register. Like I said, it's going to be one lucky winner of the free gift card. Going to be some food there for you all while we go over these things. 2 hours. I'm going to try to get it 2 hours or less. You know, I don't want to take up everyone's Saturday, but I do want you all to come through, hang with Damon, the agent, so you all can basically get a clear understanding on the home buying process, and you all can understand. I'm going to have a lender there if you all want to get approved for a home loan, and I'm going to have a home inspector there. And then we're just going to talk about it and break it down for you so you can understand how simple I can make it for you. You know, I had a young lady that sent me a message, and she told me she's scared. She said she's scared to buy a home. She doesn't know the process. So I told her I will hold her hand through the entire process. I don't want you to be scared. I don't want you to feel like you're in it alone. I want you to understand everything. I want you to understand everything. And the one thing that I like to do is basically is make sure that and everything about that. Okay, someone has another question. They said my great grandmother died and left me and my cousin a house. My cousin doesn't stay at the house or stay in the same city. She trying to force me out and make me sell. Wow. Sorry to hear that. Okay, let me explain that. That happens a lot where parents and grandparents pass away. So the question I have is, you said she left you and your cousin the house. Did she leave you or the house like a will? Did she leave a will? And if she left a will and everything, then what normally happens is you saying she's trying to force you out. She can't force you out of the house if there's a will for you to stay in the house. If it's a will that the house is yours. Now, if your grandmother did not leave a will and your cousin went and did a probate against the house, and she did that unknowingly to you, and she ended up getting the house in her name, then she can force you out. That's illegal and it's unethical. But at the same time, there are plenty of people who do a lot of illegal and unethical things, unfortunately. But you need to find out if your grandmother left a will or a power of attorney, to see, you know, if you and your cousin are on the house. If y'all both on the house, she cannot kick you out. Let me see what another question is. Or rent the house before my grandmother died. She said she ain't want none to happen to the house. It's in both of our names. So if it's in both of your names and stuff like that, and if you're at the house, then there's nothing she can do. I mean, because that's like hypothetically a husband and a wife. And if you're, let's say the husband and the wife go through a divorce and the husband leaves, okay? Um, Everything has to be done through a court order at that point, because of the fact is it becomes a legal issue. You know, if you all are not getting along, if she doesn't live in the city, and if you're in the house or in the city, she can't just force you out or tell you to leave it until she has no legal rights to do so. Now, if you want to buy her out, you can do that as well. Or if she's trying to buy you out, if you want to agree to that, that can occur. But if you don't want to be bought out, if you want to stay in the house, there's nothing she can do. Like I said, husband and wives go through it all the time. That's why they have to go before a judge to settle that. Sometimes you may have one, let's say a husband and a wife. One person might want to sell it. One person, the wife might want to stay in the house. The husband might want to sell the house. So a judge has to make that determination, especially if they're both on a loan. It just can't happen like that. And then it's in both of yours name. She can't do that. You'll have to go before the court if she wants to try to do anything. And most likely, if you're in the house, a judge a lot of times is going to tell you to buy her out. A lot of times, that's what they'll do if you're not trying to leave. If she takes you to court, but if she doesn't take you to court, then I wouldn't worry about that. Okay, I have another question right here. Hold on, Mr. Mason, before I get to you, someone says, what she said. She said, "Is there a way that my great grandmother kids can vote and have the house grow through living kids?" Now and again, because both of your names are on that, you would need to take that to a judge and legal issue because you all just can't vote on that. It's not as simple as voting in the family. I mean, I understand your kids, but what if she has kids and both of y'all names are on it? So you all are going to have to actually settle that in court. So my strong advice would be to speak with a real estate attorney to settle that matter because that sounds like that's an issue within the house. And because that's an issue within the house, that becomes a legal issue. Okay, Mr. Mason has a question. He said, if something happened to one of us, how do we turn the house into a trust? Mr. Mason, you can do that right now by speaking to a lawyer in reference to having a trust. Let's say if you want to have it for your kids, like you said, if something happens to one of you all, you can deal that. A lot of times with life insurance, they have will and trust. So a life insurance agent can a lot of times do that if something was to happen to one of you all and leaving it for your kids. So let me see if I have any more questions. But I can also direct you, Mr. Mason, to a life insurance person. So if you need to speak, I'm also in the process of getting a life insurance license myself, so I can have as another tool of value to offer my clients. Being as I've been licensed in real estate for nearly 18 years, having that life insurance license, I can offer them because not just the life insurance, I'm going to have all the other insurance licenses as well too. So I'm going to want to be able to give my clients discount on any and everything. I'm working on that right now. But I appreciate your questions, Mr. Mason. Thank you. And I also appreciate your question. The hand. Okay. Somebody answered. Yeah, I appreciate your question too, Mr. Who better? What's that? Who better than Damon Tids? I hope I said it right. So yeah, so I appreciate the questions today. Like I said, this is a Q&A that I have, and I'm going to do more Q&A so I can definitely answer people's questions, because a lot of times when I come on this platform and I talk about real estate and I bring up these issues and these titles on real estate, the reason why I bring up these titles and issues are because the fact that they are ongoing and they occur multiple times over and over again. And also sometimes I get multiple questions, the same questions from various different people. And I remember one time I answered the same question, I kid you not, 3 to 4 times in one day by 3 to 4 different people. And when I got asked the same thing over and over again, I said, you know what, I'm just going to start putting it out there so that way if anyone else have those same questions and concern. So let me go and do my recap for today. Hold on for 1 second. Give me 1 second, everyone. Okay, so yeah, so I want to recap today's show, and I want you to also remember to follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. My hashtag is the same on all of them, Damon the Agent. If you type in Damon the Agent on any of those, they're all going to pop up. And also, if you're on my StreamYard or if you're on my Facebook, you should have all the links at the bottom right there. And then also remember, next Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m., which is April the 8th, 1 to 3 p.m., I'm having a free home buyer seminars where I'm giving away a $75 free Visa gift card. And we're going to all have pizza, drinks, and we're going to talk about the home buying process. So come on out and hang with me, Damon the Agent. It's going to be a good time. I'll look forward to seeing you all. Please register on Instagram or also on my link tree. If you're on my Instagram, if you click the link, my link tree is right there. You can register there. If you're on Facebook, you can also register there as well too, as far as the free home buyer seminar next Saturday at April 8th from 1 to 3 p.m. It's going to be in the Largo, Upper Marlboro area for people in the local area. The Largo, Upper Marlboro area, 1 to 3 p.m. Please come through. I'd like to see you all. So let me do the recap. Again, time is of the essence. From the moment you start looking for a home and getting approved for a home loan, time is of the essence. There are many things that are broken down into the contract, make time of the essence from the date you sign to the settlement date that you put into the contract. An agent like myself will break all those things down to you, but just understand if you snooze, you lose. Even when you're looking at home, please understand that the house you're looking at today that you decide to wait until tomorrow would be gone yesterday, because it happens all the time. And then also your Q&As. I appreciate you asking me your questions in reference to if more than one person owns a home, but then one of the other persons trying to push them out. You know what I'm saying? What do they have to do about that? They can't do that, unless it's legal, unless it becomes legal. You can't put someone out that their name is on the you can't put someone out like that. It has to become a legal issue. Married couples go through it all the time. I appreciate you all. Please make sure you'll continue to follow me on all the social media platforms. And please join me each and every Friday at 12 noon for Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live with Damon, the agent. I thank you all. I pray that you all have a great weekend. Tomorrow is April 1st. Please don't be out there doing a lot of April Fool's jokes. But hey, just be safe in what all you do. Thank you all for following me. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all.